Welcome to Speak for Yourself, Off Mic Conversations. I'm Marcel Swally. He's Emmanuel Acho. Say something, Emmanuel. Say it loud, too.
Casual Friday. That's all right.
Woo! Coach, he might be on IR today. Let's get it started with the Super Bowl, man. It's 2 days away. And the Rams and Bengals are right here in L.A. Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow will both be making their Super Bowl debuts. Rams are currently favored by 4 points in their home stadium, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. So, Acho, who will win the Super Bowl and why?
September 9th, 2021. It's 1:36 a.m. Pacific time, 1:36 p.m. Pacific time. I proclaim.
What'd you do?
The Los Angeles Rams.
Here we go.
And the Kansas City Chiefs would be in the Super Bowl.
Wrong.
Clearly, I was wrong on the Chiefs.
Wrong.
But the Rams are still here.
Okay.
You asked me who will win this Super Bowl on September 9th. I proclaim the Rams will be in it. Well, on February 11th, I'm changing my proclamation. The Bengals are going to win this game.
Don't do that.
I have to do that, Sal. I'm a man of my convictions.
Oh.
And I'm not too proud to admit when I am wrong. And I
Contradiction.
now have realized.
You're a man of your contradictions. Conviction, and then you're going to change it? Okay.
I have now realized that I'm convicted in the Bengals are going to win this Super Bowl. And the why is extremely simple. Because of Joe Burrow. Point blank, period. I understand that the Rams have a better offensive line. The Rams have a better defensive line. The Rams have a better secondary. The Rams have a better coach. The Rams are playing at home, but I don't care about all that because the Bengals have Joe Burrow. Let me break this down simply. This is the simplest thing, yet the most conclusive thing you will hear on television all day. Both the simplest and the most conclusive. Joe Burrow is a force multiplier. You all, I have been, and Marcellus more than likely, has been doing their equations all wrong. They think they need to add Joe Burrow instead of multiplying. What do I mean? So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 15.
Yes.
Odell Beckham might be greater than T. Higgins. Cooper Kupp might be greater than Jamar Chase. Matthew Stafford might be greater than Joe Burrow. Von Miller might be greater than Sam Hubbard. Adding. But here's what y'all have to realize. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 times 2 is 16. And Joe Burrow is a multiplication symbol. Joe Burrow is not an additive. Joe Burrow is a multiplier. So while the Rams' talent might be greater than the Bengals' talent, if you want to add everything up, surely you will think that the Rams are better. Surely I have thought that the Rams are better. But what I finally have concluded over the last 2 weeks of preparing for this game, like the Bengals have prepared for this game, I realize Joe Burrow is a great multiplier, a force multiplier. Joe Burrow is the why the Bengals will win this game.
Case closed, huh? In your mind. Even though you reopened the case and actually changed your conviction on the same case. Double jeopardy? I don't know. You retried this same case with a different outcome. Boy, you should have stuck to your intuition. Should have stuck with that gut feeling. I've told you this time and time again. Your intuition will process information up to 6 million times faster than your cognitive thought. That means when you walk into a room, you could just sense it and feel it. Oh, why are they over there? I can feel the danger in his takes. But then now you're going to outthink yourself and come up with this cute take. Acho, here's a simple take for you. The Rams will win the Super Bowl because they're a better team. Let it out. Yeah, we could go position by position. Yeah, we could go coach versus coach. Yeah, we go quarterback by quarterback. Rams are just better, dog. And sometimes when you're better, you should just out-talent a team and win. But it's not just good enough to win this argument right here in the next 10 minutes to say the Rams are better, so they are a win, right? Got to go a little deeper than that. Let's go deeper than that. Not only are the Rams a better team, but they're playing better than the opposing team, Cincinnati Bengals. Let's go deeper than that. The stars for Cincinnati, let's start off with their number one player. You already brought him up, Joe Burrow, is in regression this postseason compared to his regular season efforts. Let's go deeper than that. Jamar Chase, who is a beast. Joe Burrow's a beast. Jamar Chase is in regression as well. Look at his yardage from first round, second round, and third round. Every one of them going down. All I'm saying is the Rams are a better team that is actually playing better, going against a team that their star players are in regression. Make that make sense, or better yet, go back to your first take, because that's the one that made sense. Rams win.
Marcellus Wiley, I love doing this show with you, sir. I love today. I love this game. It's going to be a phenomenal show. Y'all buckle up. Y'all lock in. I'm going to give y'all a story. My second favorite game in the casino is a game called Baccarat.
Yes.
Phenomenal game. The first time I ever played, I turned $300 into $4,000. True story. Now, here's the interesting aspect of the game. 9 is the highest number amount you can have in the game, a number of 9. I'm not going to explain all the details, but just understand that 9 is the equivalent of 21. In blackjack, 21 is the highest you can get. 9 is the highest you can get.
Baccarat.
Yes. What's interesting, Sel, when they turn over the cards in Baccarat, the person who flips the cards over is called the driver.
Isn't that the dealer?
No, sir, because you get to turn your own cards over. The dealer turns their cards over. But you get to turn your own cards over, and that person's called the driver. And here's what they'll do. I'll need the jib, please. The driver will start to inch the cards over, Sel, inch by inch.
What are they doing?
Because they're looking at the edge of the card, right, for dramatic effect to see what their cards are.
They're marking the cards. That's cheating in Uno.
No, because they discard the cards. So what they'll do is they'll inch by inch, they'll turn the cards over, and you, who have bet on the driver's hand, are waiting to see what the driver's going to tell you. You're waiting anxiously.
Really?
And the driver every now and then will look up and he'll look at you and he'll say this.
What do you say?
Never lose. What he means is he knows he has a natural 9, and a natural 9 cannot lose because, as I told y'all, it's the highest value amount you can have in the game of Baccarat. So as soon as he tells you never lose, you're still waiting for him to flip it over.
Yeah, I'll trust you.
Dramatic effect.
Yeah.
But as soon as he gives you that never lose, you've understood this much.
What?
You're not going to lose. When I look at Joe Burrow and I watch him play in must-win games, he's the driver, and he gives me that same look that I get at the casino. Never lose. Because when you look at Joe Burrow's full screens from 2019 at LSU, when he had to win in the SEC championship game against Georgia, when he had to beat Oklahoma in the college football playoffs, when he had to beat Clemson in the national championship game, then this year he had to beat the Raiders to advance, then he had to beat the Titans to advance, then he had to beat the Chiefs to advance. Joe Burrow is simply like that Baccarat driver who's flipping the cards over 1 inch at a time, and we're all waiting anxiously to see those 2 little words when he looks up and finally says, never lose. Joe Burrow done told me never lose, big dog, way too many times.
Man.
I know that I have to wait to see him flip the cards over and wait for the game to flip over and the game to unfold, but I know this much. Joe Burrow, never lose.
Never lose?
Never lose.
Cute story. I like it. You brought it back home. I don't know what is in Joe Burrow's stogie, but I know what you've been smoking. And I mean, it is some of that good Cali. What the hell are you talking about? Never lose. You want me to bring up my Pop Warner efforts? You want me to bring up my high school efforts now to talk about how in the NFL, collegiate references to tell me you're going to win the biggest game in the world on the biggest stage in the world? The biggest game is determined by how you perform in those 3 hours.
Yes, sir.
Everything before, look, neither one of them have any experience, Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. But now you're going to try to give me some bent card that says never lose, Baccarat, from college. A college game. What's next? We're going to play that game where you be bouncing the ball and taking the drinks? I don't know. I ain't played that game. Here's the thing.
Beer pong?
Beer pong. I ain't played that game. You play beer pong?
No, I don't drink.
Oh. You didn't play apple cider pong? Should have tried. Here's the thing. I don't like when you come up here with those type of references and skip past the ones that I say, which are more applicable. Like Jamar Chase, 54 yards receiving, AFC Championship game. Anybody? Joe Burrow, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 3 games. Anybody? Sacked 9 times in the winning effort. Let the Rams sack them 9 times and see if you could say winning effort. Not a damn chance. Here's the thing that I want you to highlight. I want you to respect this. Which team sacks the quarterback better?
Rams.
Okay. Which team allows their quarterback to be sacked more?
Bengals.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, okay. Which team is better in passing game?
Rams.
Which team is better in offense?
Rams.
Which team's better in defense?
Rams.
Damn. Which team has a better coach?
Rams.
You mean the boss? Zach Taylor's old boss? Which team has been at this level before if you want to look at number of players on a Super Bowl stage before? Rams or Bengals?
Rams,
experience. No, where are you getting this? Because Joe Burrow smoked the stogie in college. Like, that's not going to get it done, big dog. Give me a little more evidence so I can retort.
Here's the problem,
what?
Sal.
I see it.
You are still sitting here just blindly looking at all these stats and blindly looking at all these numbers. I get it.
My bad.
You've invested a lot in your education. I get it. You cannot undermine all 4 of those years at Columbia by banking on faith because you got to see it to believe it. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just trying to show you the way. Joe Burrow already showed me the way, Marcellus Wiley.
When?
In his biggest games of his life. He beat the Chiefs twice, must-win games. He beat them in Week 16, must-win. He beat them 2 weeks ago in the playoffs, must-win. Right. If we want to go back to college, the reason I say you can, not because college is equivalent to the NFL.
Thank you.
But personality. The personality does not change. How you respond in the biggest game of your life is still how you respond in the biggest game of your life. So, and Joe Burrow, we have to look at how he responds in the biggest games of his life. League changes, but stressors do not change. Fear response does not change. The level of fear might change, but we know this much about Joe Burrow. He don't get scared, big dog. He doesn't back down.
I'm not doing that.
And so I understand the Rams got a little bit better everything, but the Chiefs had a better quarterback. The Chiefs had a better coach. The Chiefs, in theory, had a better offensive line. The Chiefs had a better skill position grouping. Chiefs got at least one bona fide Hall of Famer already in the skill position grouping. And the Bengals still won the game. So we can sit here and look at all the stats and we can look at all the numbers and y'all try to quantify it if you want to. You can go back and say Clemson tried to quantify it. You can say the Chiefs tried to quantify it. Eventually, y'all got to realize this math stuff don't work, big dog. Just like when we was in high school and we had to learn the Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But now we were adults, we realized none of that stuff was relevant. Eventually, we have to become adults as football analysts and realize all this stuff right now is irrelevant because Joe Burrow is a major trump card.
He is a major trump card. And I don't want my take to take away from his effect on his team. But there is a limit to what that effect can be. And it needs the other team to assist it in its effect. That's the thing.
Yes, sir.
When you go against the Raiders and Derek Carr throws that interception on the 9-yard line with a chance to actually win that game, that's helping you, Joe Burrow, like that stogie.
Yes,
when you go against the Tennessee Titans and their quarterback throws 3 interceptions, that helps Joe Burrow like that stogie, despite not throwing a touchdown. You go against the Chiefs and you see a second half. When they're already up 18, you see a second half where that's not the Chiefs playing their style of ball like they did in the first half, foot on the gas. That helps Joe Burrow like the stogie.
Yes, sir.
But Joe Burrow is still in a position with the stogie in hand, so I know he has that type of potential, that type of effect. But here's the thing. You're going against a team that's better, that is more prepared, more experienced for this moment than you are. You're basically playing a road game. Not daunting. You just beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. But it's a Super Bowl home game for the Rams that are a better team, more experienced in this moment. And Joe Burrow is not playing his best football right now. Jamar Chase is not playing his best football right now. And to me, that just adds up, whether you want me to use the math or not, quantify it or not, that adds up logically to a bad situation for the Bengals.
I wanted to avoid logic, but logic is the game you want to play, then logic is the game we shall play. Let me tell you the biggest reason you Rams fans, you Rams bettors, and you Matthew Stafford fans should be incredibly worried. Here's the biggest reason. All season long, we have yet to see Matthew Stafford play 4 games, quality games, consecutively. We've yet to see it. Week 6 to week 8, Matthew Stafford had a streak of 3 great games, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. He played the Detroit Lions. He played the Houston Texans. He played what appears to be the New York Giants. Then, week 12 to week 14, Matthew Stafford, once again, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. He played the Jacksonville Jaguars. He played the Arizona Cardinals. He played the Seattle Seahawks. Now in the playoffs thus far, Matthew Stafford, 3 games, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Here is a problem. We've yet to see Matthew Stafford play 4 consecutive good games. Because after that 10-1 streak in week 6 through 8, week 9 came. And he played the Tennessee Titans, and he struggled in the worst way. I was there in SoFi Stadium.
With them?
It was bad.
You're bad luck then.
Again, week 12 to 14. Week 15 came. And in Week 15, he struggled against the Seattle Seahawks. We've yet to see Stafford play 4 consecutive good games. This is the 4th game. We ain't never seen it. You know I'm a betting man. You know I bet off what I've seen before. You know I bet off these statistics. You know I bet off trends. I bet off patterns. It's 3 and it breaks. It's 3 and it breaks. It's 3 and it breaks. We've already seen 3. Here comes a break.
Oh, it's 3 and it breaks. He was 0-3 before he came to the Rams. It's 3 and it breaks. And guess what? It broke.
Exactly.
It went 3-0. It broke.
It's about to again, though.
No, oh, kid me that.
3 bad games and it broke. Now he's at 3 good games.
No, because you bet before that, hey, with Matthew Stafford, he's not going to give you this amount of success over this amount of time. People told me that Matthew Stafford couldn't win a playoff game. You would have bet that. He never won one.
I said he was going to the Super Bowl, Sal.
No, you won't.
Before the season, September 9th.
Why are you changing your opinion now, then?
Because Joe Burrow has spoken to my spirit.
You your spirit animal right now? Okay, can he speak to this then, damn it? Is he going to speak to Aaron Donald? Because Aaron Donald going to be real close to him. Do you know that 8 of the 9 last Super Bowl winners were just the team that got more sacks? Which team? Okay, let's talk that. Let's bet that. Right now, forget who's going to win the game. Who's going to get more sacks?
Common sense would say the Rams.
Common sense would say that? Common sense, common, I don't know what the rapper would say. All I know is Acho know he caught right there.
I like the Bengals still, y'all.
All right, let's see. Coming up, James Harden is on his way to Philly. I am not arguing with you anymore, but we'll tell you if KD deserves any blame for his exit. But first, Aaron Rodgers had an early playoff exit where he was named MVP last night. I'll tell you if his season was a success. Next on Speak For Yourself. Aaron Rodgers was rewarded last night. That's right. He was named AP Most Valuable Player for the 2nd year in a row, bringing his total to 4, which is only one behind Peyton Manning, the sheriff for all-time lead. Rodgers had the MVP trophy, but he fell short on a Lombardi trophy after his Packers lost to the 49ers. So, Acho, was Aaron Rodgers' season a success?
The Aaron Rodgers season was a success for one person and one person only.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Oh, now, Aaron Rodgers being what he is at least portrayed to be, the incredibly selfish individual that he is, that's all that matters. It ultimately is irrelevant that Aaron Rodgers was a season was a failure. You heard me.
Say it again with your chest.
Aaron Rodgers portraying himself to be the exceedingly selfish individual that he is, that may be all that matters, that his season was a success for him. But was his season a success for the fan base? No. One and done in the playoffs they were. They got to host one home game. Was his season a success for his head coach? Absolutely not. Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan were all employed by the Washington football team. They were all employed by that Washington staff in 2013. And they have all traveled further in the playoffs this year than Matt LaFleur. So Matt LaFleur's season wasn't a success. Keep in mind what no one will tell you. Matt LaFleur can never be thought of as coach of the year because we only attribute the greatness of the Packers to Aaron Rodgers. Was not a success for the coach. Was not a success for Packers management because Packers management was forced to go and acquire players like Randall Cobb, who they otherwise would not have acquired if not for Aaron Rodgers. Packers management had to deal with that distraction all year. Not a success for management. It was not a success for Packers players because in totality, Packers players probably answered in excess of 1,000 questions about Aaron Rodgers all season long. Distraction for the Packers players, not a success for Packers players. So Aaron Rodgers' season was totally a success for Aaron Rodgers. He won an individual award. So his season was individually successful. But in totality, not successful at all, big dog. Not for the greater congregation at large.
Oh, that's so wrong to put on Aaron Rodgers. He only has 2 shoulders, man. And he has 4 MVPs. So guess what? If you look at Aaron Rodgers, he's doing way more than even expected of him, way more than asked of him. Therefore, let's count the wins in his journey for success. Okay, let me say it this way. Let's start this way. Sometimes you can't go forward. You got to go backwards so someone can punch themselves out and land right in front of you. Acho, if this season wasn't a success, then Aaron Rodgers only had 1 successful season, according to your standard. The 1 year he won a Super Bowl. Now, he has 4 MVPs, but Aaron Rodgers now is only successful 1 time when he wins it all, when he wins the Lombardi. Do you agree with that statement? I don't think you want to agree with that statement, because then I will support that statement by saying this, and this ain't right. 10 players, only 10 players in history have won the MVP and Super Bowl in the same season, and none since 1999. Wait a minute, Marcellus, you trying to tell me, what is this, Super Bowl 56? And we know that the MVP ain't winning this Super Bowl, so 10 have won it, and 46 have not. And of the 56 MVPs, 46 were unsuccessful that season. So we can't go that far. We ain't going to do that up here. Come on, big dog. What were you doing on Thursday? I know what I was doing. I wasn't sitting in my hotel room, putting on a tuxedo, waiting for the limousine to show up. They still got limos. Taking me to NFL honors, sitting there. Oh, I am Aaron Rodgers. And sitting there in a room representing the NFL of 1,900 players. And of 1,900 players, they call out my name and say, I am the best player again. To me, that is deemed successful. Now, anyone else that says it's not successful is looking at it differently, and they're looking at it out of context. Aaron Rodgers, dog, what else could he do? What else could they do is a different conversation. But, dog, if I'm the best player in the entire NFL, why are you putting all this on my shoulder?
I love it. Ultimately, this question's subjective. It depends on how we define success.
No, it ain't. It's objective. How you define success?
I define success for this Packers as going to the Super Bowl, and I think that's how the Packers define it.
I didn't see Packers anywhere in this question.
Aaron Rodgers leads and commands the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is the team captain of the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is individually the MVP, not only of the NFL, but Aaron Rodgers is the MVP of the Packers. So Aaron Rodgers takes the Packers wherever they would like to go. I define success for Aaron Rodgers as I define success for this Packers football team.
Okay.
After two consecutive 13-3 seasons where you fell short in NFC championship games, it was now time for you to get over the hump. The hump was the NFC championship game. Aaron Rodgers, if we want to call success winning an individual award, then of course it was successful. But for me, Sal, if you've already won said individual award 3 times, then why don't you do something you've done more infrequently? I think that is how I would define success. But I'm looking at it from the mass perspective. Aaron Rodgers had a successful season that impacted one individual.
Yeah.
He did not have a successful season that would have impacted a multitude of millions of individuals.
Yeah.
I'd rather, not even I, both Aaron Rodgers and anybody who is a fan or has an affinity for the Packers would rather Aaron Rodgers win Super Bowl MVP than NFL MVP. Aaron Rodgers would tell you that, along with everybody associated with the Green Bay Packers. That would be a success. This clearly is a degree of success, but this is success for one, not success for millions.
So stop winning that same award and go get the big one, right?
Or both.
Yeah, or both, right? So why you keep winning Emmys? When you going to bring the big one home? When you going to get us an Emmy first of all? When you going to think about something other than yourself? Oh, it works for Acho. Successful Acho. Acho Enterprises. It works for you, but it can't work for Aaron Rodgers.
I got my co-producer an Emmy as well, thank you.
That ain't me. I am Devontae Adams, for good thing. You better give me something other than... I want the #1 rated show on all of television. Forget the NFL. And I want my Emmy. If you want to put all this burden on Aaron Rodgers is doing the Acho plan, and you mad at Aaron Rodgers for doing it. Better than Acho. That's all you are. You guys got to understand, it's okay. Y-O-U spells you. Remember, it's singular and it's plural. I could be saying you, Acho, and I could be saying you, S-F-Y. But guess what? I could be saying you, Aaron Rodgers. I could be saying you, Green Bay Packers. But he can't carry the whole damn team. Just like Tom Brady when he won the MVP, 2017. Did he win the Super Bowl? No. Successful season? You think? He's the GOAT. Matt Ryan. Remember Matt Ryan? He lost the Super Bowl, but he won MVP. Successful season? You going down to Atlanta looking at Matt Ryan that year to my dog, you ain't do nothing. You're the one that walks up to Aaron Rodgers after he gets off the stage at NFL honors with your Achoists and gonna be looking at him like, I wish you would be proud of that. You can't do that to the dog.
Here's why I have to.
Come on.
Because for me, it's all about what bar have you set for yourself. I'm going to say something that's going to get the audience in an uproar. Here it comes. Remember, we said Simone Biles had an unsuccessful Olympic Games this year.
Take me where you're going first. Let me see the end.
Remember, we said that. Now, Simone Biles still medaled. at the Olympic Games. It's greater than 99.9999% of the world.
99.
Not country, exactly.
Yeah.
Percent of the world. But we said Simone Biles was unsuccessful at the Olympic Games. Why? Because Simone Biles was the greatest of all time. Simone Biles was unsuccessful at the Olympic Games, although she medaled, and I believe several medals, because Simone Biles set a standard of gold, 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 gold. Not only a standard of individual gold, Simone Biles set a standard of collective team gold. Because when Simone Biles is there and the squad shows up, they take home gold. But this year, the team did not take home the gold that Simone Biles was a part of. This year, Simone Biles individually did not take home nearly the golds that she usually takes home, and that was deemed a failure. Now, if you or I were to go compete at the Olympics and were gymnasts or any eventists, and we take home a bronze, huge success, because our bar is lower. When Matt Ryan takes home an NFL MVP, that's a successful season for Matt Ryan. His bar is lower. But Aaron Rodgers, if he is the greatest athlete at the quarterback position of all time, if he's the greatest talent, better put, at the quarterback position of all time, then yeah, I can look at Aaron Rodgers and say, while individually you succeeded for yourself, collectively it's not the same. Aaron Rodgers is held to a higher standard than Matt Ryan and everybody else.
Yes.
Just like Simone Biles is held to a higher standard than everybody else, sir.
I give you that, and that's why I like that take, Furl. Let me give credit. Let me give some props to that take. Different reasons why that bar is several, but we ain't gonna go there. Tom Brady is on this list. Peyton Manning twice on this list, winning the MVP, no Super Bowl. I'm talking about the bar as high as Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got that bar up there high, right? Trying to high jump 8 feet. I give you that. But Tom Brady is as well. Peyton Manning is as well. Did you walk up to him those years and say, unsuccessful season? We got to get out of this transmission of what we're saying to the audience and the fan base versus what we're really saying to ourselves. Aaron Rodgers should be proud of what he did this year. Think about it. He placed hurdles in his own path and hopped over all of them still at a better pace, at a better record than every other player in the NFL. Think about it. Most players didn't have off seasons like him. Most players didn't have distractions. Most players didn't start off week one like him, despondent. And he made up all that ground and still passed every single player in the individual 100, the individual race. So when I see names on this list like Kurt Warner, Rich Gannon, Sean Alexander, like these dudes were beasting that year. They didn't win it all, but I still will give them their flowers. But then I got to watch out for Acho because he'll just walk by and step on them. Coming up, James Harden's days in Brooklyn are over. Tell you if Kevin Durant deserves any blame for his exit. That's next on Speak for Yourself. James Harden is headed to Philly after the blockbuster deal that sent Ben Simmons, multiple players, and picks to the Nets. Kevin Durant said he was, quote, happy that we got guys who want to be a part of this. Ooh, last night he had several chances to put Harden on his All-Star game roster during the draft. Just listen to this.
I'm going to need some size for sure. I'm going to need some size and some defense in the interior. Especially with Giannis and LeBron James playing such great basketball this year. I need somebody to offset that, so I'm going to go with Rudy Gobert.
I agree. That worked out nicely for you.
That worked out nicely.
I mean, you can't let people run through the lane and dunk all the time. Got somebody defending back there.
Hey, it's not checkers. Hey, when somebody want out, you let them go. Don't let them come back. I'm with you, KD.
That's why I cut my hair off. I was like, I'm going.
Straight face, too. Got to bring in Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher, but Acho, does KD deserve blame for James Harden's exit?
No, he doesn't. Sale, surprise. KD does not deserve the blame for James Harden's exit. However, KD did cause James Harden's exit. Kyrie did cause James Harden's exit. Can I break something down for y'all? Sal, one of the greatest therapy lessons I've ever learned is the difference between cause and blame. You can cause someone to do something. A action might cause someone to do something, but everyone is responsible for their own reaction. And as opposed to reacting, we all need to just act because you have agency over your own life. You have agency over your own decisions. I could do the same thing to 50 different people and might see 50 different responses. So there is a huge difference between cause and blame. Just because something was caused does not mean the person who caused it is to be blamed for the reaction. Greatest therapy lesson I've learned thus far.
Love that.
So why is it applicable? Because I do think KD and Kyrie caused James Harden to depart. Why? Because KD and Kyrie, they set the situation. More importantly, Kevin Durant set the situation. Sal, if I'm about to go over to your house, big dog, and I tell you this, I say, hey, Sal, man, I don't like dogs. Then I would appreciate it if, when I came over to the crib, you had your dog in the corner, you had your dog taken care of. If I told you this, I'm allergic to cats. I would hope that you would make the home that I'm about to come visit in some way more inclusive for me to be there. Hey, Sal, I'm allergic to shellfish. If I come to your crib and you got shellfish, I'm out. James Harden came to KD's crib. He came to Brooklyn. He came to KD and Kyrie's crib, and he knew what he was after, and KD and Kyrie knew what James Harden was after. If I go to your house, Slick Rick, and I tell you what I need to be welcome, if I tell you what I need to be included, and you don't set the crib up right, then I'm going to leave. Y'all caused that. Now, at the end of the day, I still have a decision to make. James Harden still has a decision to make. James Harden could have stayed there through it, but as I look at it, KD, Kyrie, they may have caused the exit, but at the end of the day, James Harden still got a decision to make. What James Harden does is on James Harden. So that's really where I stand with it all.
Okay, so hold on a second. So KD and Kyrie created the circumstances that would make James Harden want to leave, but they're not to blame for creating the circumstances that prompted James Harden to leave. I will say this. I don't get that, and I don't blame KD.
Let me break it down.
Let it be broke.
Okay, I thought you just did, and it still didn't land. So, you know what? Go take my time and give it another shot. Go ahead.
I believe in Einstein. Make everything as simple as possible and no simpler. If you and I are in an argument and I cuss you out and you punch me, I'm not to blame for you punching me. The argument may have caused your reaction, but I am not to blame for you punching me. So that is what I'm saying. We laugh and we ha-ha and we kikiing, but there actually is a point to be made here. I am not to blame for you punching me. The argument may have caused it. So that is what I'm saying. James Harden is not to blame. James Harden is to blame, but not KD and Kyrie. Go ahead.
However, if you knew that the previous three people who cursed me out got punched and you cursed me out, you might have a little something to do with the fact that I punched you, okay? You knew what you were creating based on previous incidents, and that's what we have with James Harden. What does James Harden do when things aren't perfectly set up for him? He dips. And so I'm not necessarily going to blame Kevin Durant for the fact that Harden decided I want out and I want to go to Philadelphia. I'm going to blame Kevin Durant for the fact that James Harden was there in the first place, and he didn't do evidently enough to try to convince him to stay. And that includes getting Kyrie Irving and James Harden together and working out what are the issues here. Because there's nobody better suited with the Brooklyn Nets than to do that than to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has history with James Harden. He has a relationship with Kyrie Irving. If there was anybody to bring those two guys together and say, let's work it out, he was the guy to do it, especially because the team went overboard to go get James Harden. This wasn't James Harden unilaterally saying, I want to be in Brooklyn. This was James Harden going and meeting with Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant convincing James Harden, come on, dog, join me in Brooklyn. We're going to go get this done. And then I have Kyrie Irving saying, yeah, I never said anything to James Harden. I never felt a need to convince him why he should see what we're trying to get done here or something that he possibly couldn't see. I'm like, wait a minute, whoa. No. You do have a responsibility. If you believe that you can win a championship with James Harden, then you have a responsibility if he doesn't see that or he loses sight of that at some point to make him or allow him to see what it is that you see. And Kevin Durant is at the heart of all that. If Kyrie Irving doesn't have the kind of relationship that allows him to go to James Harden and say, listen, this is what we're capable of doing. Don't jet on us. Maybe Kyrie doesn't have that relationship, but Kevin Durant does. So from everything that I'm hearing, like Kevin Durant just went, oh, so I guess he doesn't like being here. Well, you know what? If you don't want to be here, see you later, James. You got the Brooklyn Nets to invest in James Harden. You got skin in the game as a result of that. KD, you needed to do more, at least attempt to do more to keep him there. I blame him for not making that attempt, even if it ultimately wouldn't have been fruitful.
Man, I got to step in the middle of this. You guys have made some great points. I'm going to get back to some of Acho's points about cause and blame later. I'm going to table that right now to just simply answer this question. Man, y'all can't be blaming KD for everything just because he's the best basketball player on every team he's on. And it seems like that's what's going to be a part of his legacy. It's going to be attached to his legacy. Issue with Draymond. And Draymond has issues with a lot of people, but somehow, some way, we're going to blame Kevin Durant when we see there's a common denominator elsewhere. Just like there's a common denominator elsewhere in this situation. Y'all know what this trade was, right? It was the Sixers trading a guy that quit on their team in Ben Simmons for a guy who quit on his last two teams in James Harden. And if you think about it, James Harden not only has quit on his teams before, now two, but on players and the homies as well. Ask CP3 about James Harden and how that went down. Ask Russell Westbrook and James Harden how that went down. And then the city of Houston, how that go down. How it go down in Brooklyn. And now we're going to look at all of that in totality and say, yeah, it's your fault, KD. You can't make somebody quit. I didn't cause you to quit. You can't blame me if you quit. And that's the only thing I have an exception with Acho's example. I love that therapy lesson, but it also told me why Acho's never been invited to my house and never is coming over, because he got too many damn demands. He told me to tie up a dog, tie up a cat, and make sure we ain't eating no shellfish. What the hell? You can stay at home for all that. DoorDash, please. I don't need Acho at the crib. But in all seriousness, come on, man. This is like some clout chasing kind of argument. Like, who's the best basketball player there? Well, everything's his fault. That's not how it goes in relationships. If James Harden's not in, no one can force him to be in. And if you look at his resume, it seems like there's been more than KD doing that.
So here's my issue, Sel. Yeah. And to some degree, we're all singing along the same lines, just different tunes, different harmonies. I do think Kyrie Irving's lack of presence in Brooklyn is the cause of James Harden's departure.
I'll give you some of that.
James Harden wanted to go to Brooklyn to play on a big three. James Harden wanted to go to Brooklyn to play on a championship team. There is no big three, and without the big three, they are not a championship team, and that caused James Harden to think, you know what, I got to dip. But at the end of the day, I subscribe to the notion that everyone takes agency over their own actions. So James Harden still has to take agency over his own action. But being real, if Kyrie's vaccinated and playing, James Harden ain't going anywhere. But again, James Harden didn't sign up for this. He didn't leave Houston to go to Brooklyn to play with 1.5 superstars. He left Houston to go to Brooklyn to play with 2 superstars. And he didn't leave Houston to go to Brooklyn to now have to carry the entire load like he was doing in Houston. Now he's getting injured, which he did last season. KD's getting injured. KD's healthy. Then Harden's healthy. Then Harden's injured. Then he didn't leave Houston to go to a similar situation. He left Houston for a different situation. So I understand the cause of James Harden's departure. I'm just saying, you know what? Let me simmer down. Let me settle down. Slick, the only place I differ with you is KD can't be blamed, because at the end of the day, James Harden, a grown man, that made a grown man decision, and that grown man chose his decision to leave. KD didn't tell him to leave. He chose his own decision.
Okay, so ultimately in any relationship, it takes two. It takes two to make it. It takes two to break it. And I think we're trying to make this clean cut of it's either KD's fault or it's Harden's fault or it's somebody in particular's fault. They all have a part in this. And this is what I love about doing the show with you guys. Because, I prepare, right? But sometimes you guys just, you give me the material that I need to do this. Marcellus, you made the point that Harden had quit on 2 previous teams. Actually, it kind of been 3, because when he was in Oklahoma City, I know this has been portrayed in a different way, but the reality is he didn't want to be a third wheel, and he didn't want to be paid like a third wheel in Oklahoma City. There was no way he was going to stay in Oklahoma City. He wanted to be a star. So, another situation where he dipped. But if you're Kevin Durant, and you've had a guy who has not only done it 3 times, but has done it once previously to you, and you say, you know what, dog, come on over. You can't be surprised that the quitter quit on you again. You can't. So you have to take partial responsibility for this damn thing that ultimately happened. And here's the thing, Acho. I agree with you in terms of both sides have a responsibility in this. If I punch you because you cursed me out, yes, I have a responsibility for that action because it was ultimately my action. But Kevin Durant knew what he was getting and ultimately didn't try to make the most of what he asked the Brooklyn Nets to do. He went to this would be the same as LeBron James. And I give him and Anthony Davis credit. Those guys recruited Russ Westbrook to LA. They can't now say, hey, man, this isn't working. What's up with this dude? They can't. They may think it privately, publicly. They went out and recruited him. It's the same thing with Kevin Durant. You can't just turn around and go, oh, well, I'd rather just have guys who want to be here and I'm excited. It's like, no, man. You thought this guy was excited to play with you.
Yeah.
You went and recruited him. So the fact that this is falling apart, some of that has to be the responsibility of Kevin Durant because he was the one who created it. You think the Brooklyn Nets wanted to spend all those assets to get James Harden when they already had Kyrie and KD? There's no way. They did that to please Kevin Durant.
Wow. Slick Rick, I didn't know you were so cold-hearted, cold-blooded, Scroogey. Oh, my God. So you don't believe in second chances, it sounds like. Because Kevin Durant, if it happened to him in OKC before, all he wanted to do was give his boy, his dog, his boy in his relationship, his interaction, a second chance. Now, let me give you an example to really undermine everything you just said. Even though I thought everything you said was amusing and amazing. It doesn't always take two to tango. It doesn't. I hate when people say that because they don't know what I've been through. Okay, let me give you an example. Damn it. Here's a relationship that really happened and occurred to me in college, my first heartbreak. And I still feel it right now, damn it. And it happened in college. Don't look at me like that, Acho. I know I'm happily married. Shut up. It was an ex that came into my ex's life. She dated him in high school, right? And she used to tell me about him like that's the homie. And, you know, you can't tell her to get rid of everybody in her past, but you got your eye on this one dude because she keeps saying he the homie. And I was like, all right. Sound phony. So then all of a sudden, one day she calls me. She's like, I'm just torn. I really care for you, but I just can't get him out of my life, out of my head. And she went there. Now, I was in love at the time. It didn't take two. I didn't do anything to undermine that relationship. I didn't detour that relationship. I didn't break that relationship off. It was all on her, just like it's all on James Harden. But you circle back.
No,
draft day,
Marcellus. Marcellus, this is why. This is why you continue to think, Marcellus. This is why you continue to think of that relationship because you think that relationship, that breaking of that relationship, those two getting together,
she did that,
was done to you. But what did you tell me? What did you just tell me now when you described her description of the relationship?
She was fine?
You didn't believe it. You knew what was coming. You just didn't want to acknowledge it. You were hoping that all the signs were not really the signs. So, dog, her going and doing what you thought she might do, even though you hoped she wouldn't do it, that ain't on her, bruh.
Turn off the TV.
That's on you.
Damn, Slick. The habitual line step up here.
Hey, Slick.
What is Slick doing to me? Oh, man, I will say her name right now, but she got what's coming to her.
we gotta go to break, man. Marcellus got it.
Let me gather myself once again. Damn, Slick.
Yeah, Marcellus got to collect himself.
Need to come on more often. Help me in my real life. Before we let you go, though, Slick, we all know you're a long-suffering Bengals fan, and I know you're smiling ear to ear right now. 2 days away from the Super Bowl right here in Los Angeles. Slick Rick, give us your prediction.
What do you need? You need a win? You need a score? I'll give it to you all. 24-21. Bengals, Evan McPherson, once again coming through with the game-winning field goal.
Okay.
Man, the Bengals going to treat you like my ex did. Break your heart. They ain't winning. Coming up, there are a lot of big names in the Super Bowl. You want some tissue, Slick? We'll reveal our top 5 players list next on Speak for Yourself. She told me not to say her name anymore, though. All right, so there's plenty of star power in this game on both squads, like there is on this field right now with Emi Acho. So it's time to rank the best players with a Lombardi trophy on the line. Acho, get us started, Emi.
Man, and my five seed, Trey Hendrickson, defensive end, pass rusher for the Bengals, 2.5 sacks thus far in the playoffs. It's not just the best players for me. I'm also ranking the most important players as it pertains to the outcome of this game.
LASIK surgery? You need it? It says
so
best players.
I'm doing both.
Okay.
Trey Hendrickson, I think, will be one of the best players, but I also think that he is going to be one of the most important players in this game.
I'll take that.
At 4, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, for me, obviously we know what he has as far as talent. But again, when I think about best and I think about importance, Stafford, you got to have a big day. If Stafford struggles, Rams, no chance. If Stafford plays great, Rams, lock it up.
Yeah.
If Stafford plays average, if Stafford plays mediocre, it's a toss-up, baby. After that, it's going to come down to my 3 seed, Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Jamar Chase should absolutely be higher, except I will see and I will show y'all in a little bit. Jamar Chase averaged 93 reception yards per game in this playoffs. We've seen him single-handedly put the team on his back against the Kansas City Chiefs. Regular season, 266 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, game. We see how it gets done. So when I think about the best players, but also the most important players, Jamar Chase is my 3 seed. My 2 seed can single-handedly undermine my 3 seed. Jalen Ramsey is the 2 seed. Jalen Ramsey just a beast, dog, monster, say whatever you want to say. He's downright the best cornerback in football. Jalen Ramsey will have the sole job of traveling with Jamar Chase wherever he goes. Cat coverage. This cat got that cat. If Jalen Ramsey can take Jamar Chase out the game, the Bengals will be taken out of the game. Jalen Ramsey, I love the way he plays. He's my number 2. My number 1 is obvious.
What?
Number 1 is abundantly clear.
What?
My dog, Joey B, baby.
He's smoking that stogie again. What the hell?
If Joe Burrow does what Joe Burrow is capable of doing, the Bengals win. Period. It's not just about Joe Burrow's immense talent level. I do think he's talented. But more importantly so, I think Joe Burrow has it. Eli Manning and his 2 Super Bowl runs, those were the only times in the playoffs where he won a playoff game. Those 2 Super Bowl runs. David Tyree miraculously catching balls on his head, whatever the case may be. I don't know how Eli Manning did it, but I knew Eli Manning had it. Joe Burrow has that same it factor. I don't know how he's going to do it. I just know he has it. And sometimes having it is just as important, if not more important, than doing it.
Yeah, and having confidence and having an ability to read and comprehend what you're reading when it says best players in the Super Bowl. My grandmother used to tell me, what got you there will get you there. So when something's big in front of you, Super Bowl, any achievement that you want in front of you, what got you there is going to get you there. Don't change this up. Don't change the damn question. But that's okay, because you know damn well Hendrickson does not belong in the top 5 of best players in the Super Bowl, even though he's a beast. Let me give you a real top 5. Let's start off with my number 5 and Jamar Chase. Now, Jamar Chase out there, as a rookie, sets the NFL record for most yardage and production, postseason record as well. A beast. I am not going to retort on your list just yet because he's on my top 5 also. Number 4, we got Matthew Stafford. Not mad at that right there because Matthew Stafford, he goes out there and balls out. We know what the Rams going to do. They're going to win. Check your pocket square. Looks like Rams colors to me. Number 3, let's go with Cooper Kupp. He's not on Acho's list. I don't know how. He just won the Triple Crown at the receiver position, had the most prolific receiver season in NFL history, I just said, but he's not on your top 5 list. Interesting. Number 2, Jalen Ramsey. Got him at the same place as you. Monster. Here's the problem, though. The Rams rarely run man. They're a zone team, and they rarely say, Ramsey, go out there in cat coverage and cover that cat. You always talk about the depth of the Bengals in terms of their wide receiver group. Will Ramsey get out of character and start playing man and try to lock down Chase, or will he stay in that hybrid little robber zone that they love to run? My number 1 is pretty obvious. The best player, what are we doing, in the Super Bowl is the best player on the football field who may be one of the best players in NFL history in his position. His name is Aaron Donald. And it's crazy. I love that face. I wish I could see it again on your side, but I don't see Aaron Donald, and I don't see Cooper Kupp as well. Please respond, buddy.
Hey, first and foremost, there was a communication error that the Bengals will not have. I was told that this was a most important player, so I was giving you...
Oh, you blame the producer?
I was giving you the most important players because I'm going to get crushed on social media the second somebody posts... The second somebody posts this best player joint on social and I ain't got Aaron Donald.
You worry about your chain instead of your prep.
If we were going with best players, and I absolutely would agree with just about everything on your list, instead I would have Joe Burrow on the list still.
Who would you take off my list to put Joe Burrow?
I'd probably have to take off Matthew Stafford.
He didn't have a better season than him. How you going to take him off? He didn't have a better postseason than him. How you going to take him off?
No, it's not about the better season. It's about who is the better player.
He's a Hall of Famer with one more win, Matthew Stafford. Joe Burrow does not. Where do you see him?
You do understand Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford have the same amount of playoff wins, right?
I give you that. Yeah. I like
Joe Burrow's been in the league for 2 years.
That's amazing.
Matthew Stafford in the league for 13.
That's amazing. There's a long runway in front of him of greatness, or we'll see. But Matthew Stafford is on the doorstep of the Hall of Fame and had a better season this year. That's all I'm saying. So if you're a future Hall of Famer with one more win, and you had a better season, how are you not better?
Because Joe Burrow is doing and has done more with less. Again, I'm not mad at clearly Donald Hall of Famer, Ramsey Hall of Famer. Interestingly enough, I was looking at Cooper Kupp earlier today to see, is Cooper Kupp already on a Hall of Fame trajectory? Now, he only has one All-Pro season, only has one Pro Bowl season, but he does have roughly 5,000 yards over the course of his first 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Will be an interesting storyline to follow.
Yeah.
The Rams got all the Hall of Famers, but you know where I stand with Joe Burrow. I just think Joe Burrow is a better player. He might not have had a better season, but just because somebody scores you on a test doesn't mean they're smarter than you.
Oh,
you
really?
might still be smarter.
Is that what you told yourself to go to Texas? Like, my grades don't count? Anyway, here's so many things. There's so many holes in your list right here. But you also said Jamar Chase putting this team on his back.
Yeah.
He had 54 receiving yards against the Chiefs. That's on his back? Like, I just don't like when we get out of our zone in terms of the accolades we give them. Give them what they earn. Give them what they get. You eat what you kill, but at the same time, your list is very flawed. And I hope it runs on social. Put it out there immediately. So coming up. That is a horrible list. Are the Bengals actually being slept on in Sunday's Super Bowl? We'll answer that next. Don't speak for yourself. All right, you get a mulligan on that. February 20th is the most iconic day in all of motorsports, the Daytona 500. The Great American Race kicks off the 2022 NASCAR season, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Vroom, vroom. Let's get back to the Super Bowl. The Bengals are the first team to beat the number 1 and 2 seeds in the AFC since 2012, but they're still a 4-point underdog to the Rams, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. Joe Burrow said a while back that he's, quote, tired of the underdog narrative, adding his squad is here to make some noise. So, Acho, make some noise right now. Or the Bengals being slept on, man.
Absolutely. I don't think the Bengals get enough respect. And I understand why the Bengals aren't getting their respect, because realistically speaking, as we just talked about last segment, the Bengals aren't nearly as talented a team when you look from top to bottom. And really, when you just look at the stars the Rams have. Rams have 3 first ballot Hall of Famers, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, likely to be Jalen Ramsey. If Matthew Stafford messes around and wins the Super Bowl, now the Rams got 4 first ballot Hall of Famers on that squad. So if you look exclusively at the talent of the two teams, it's easy to say the Rams. But again, it goes back to, Sel, we are naturally lazy. And we naturally look where it's easiest to acquire information as opposed to the information that's most important to be acquired. In my mind, I think one of the dumbest things the NFL still does to this day is the combine. At least the weight it puts on the combine. You know better than I because you played longer than I, and even fans, you all should know as well as I, your 40-yard dash isn't going to dictate your success in the NFL. How many times you bench press 225 isn't going to dictate your success in the NFL. How explosive you are on a broad jump isn't going to dictate your success in the NFL. I would love to go back and research Cooper Kupp's 40-yard dash time, Cooper Kupp's bench press, Cooper Kupp's standing broad jump. But Cooper Kupp set an NFL record this year for most receiving yards in a season. I would love to go back and research Tom Brady's 40-yard dash time, Tom Brady's bench press, Tom Brady's standing broad jump. But Tom Brady will go down as maybe the best athlete in sports history ever. So what we know, just based upon the NFL, is we acquire information, not the most important information, but where it's easiest to gauge. It's easiest to gauge, how many sacks do the Rams get? How many passing yards does Matthew Stafford thrown for? How many passing touchdowns? But what's harder to gauge is just the it that Joe Burrow has. What's harder to gauge is how in the world are the Bengals in the Super Bowl when they were 2-14 just 2 years ago? What's harder to gauge is the fact that the Bengals, who have lesser talent than the Chiefs, and many would argue lesser talent than the Titans offensively and defensively, have made it all add up to a greater number than those teams prior to them. So I do think the Bengals are being slept on because you have to do more work to quantify the Bengals' greatness. I'm just willing to do the work.
Damn. Tremendous take. I'm going to defend some of the NFL and the Combine a little bit later, but let's get to this. And the Bengals not being slept on. When you hear that question, the first thing you say is yes or no, right? Instead of the real question you should answer is who? Who are you talking about sleeping? Who's sleeping on them? They're sleeping on them. Who are they? What did DJ Khaled say? They? Who are they? Let's talk about who they are. Is Vegas sleeping on them? Hell no. The Rams are favored only by 4 points. I chose, since you do the work, where you're playing basically a home game because you're playing in your own stadium, the LA Rams.
3 of them.
3 points, right?
3 points, what you get.
And what's the line on this one?
4.5.
4. That doesn't sound like slept on to me, especially when you say you can't add them up the same in terms of talent. Nobody's sleeping on them. And now let's go into the storylines. They have so many damn storylines that we're burying some of the greater storylines. You're getting smothered with all the conversation of Joe Burrow. You're getting smothered with all the conversation of Zach Taylor, rags to riches. You're getting smothered with all the Cincinnati talk of, wow, the lowly Bengals are in this position. You're getting smothered with Jamar Chase and how great he is. And we're not even talking about the defense. There's so many storylines out there that we're going to now bury some of them because this team is not being slept on. They're getting the proper attention, and Vegas has given them the proper respect. Now, you brought us to a better place. I want to activate, once again, the defense attorney in me and turn on the law firm. Yes, our doors are open right now. Let me defend the Combine. One, let me be biased and tell you why I must defend the Combine, because a lowly player like myself from Columbia University needed something to level the playing field. I didn't have any film against University of Texas. I didn't have any film against Alabama. So what they had to do is start to extract measurables to say, hey, which of these defensive ends at these big programs, not really that good an athlete, not really that explosive, not really that strong. And there were guys like that. Got in the Combine, I was like, dog, you can only bench press that 8 times? The hell wrong with you? But you went out there and balled out. Now, this is not to exclude that you can't play the game of football, but this is to give us a measurement of your measurables. It allows us to see what type of athlete and what type of athletic base we're working with. Why does that come into play? Because you can start to see it when you start to see these guys in their measurables. Cooper Kupp in small space, in the cone drill, I assume, my God, in, out, in, out, in, out. So I just had to have a little sidebar to protect the Combine because it lets little guys like me. You love equality. Well, it gave me a chance to have equality going against the big programs like that. But let's get back on subject. Bengals not slept on, dog. Everybody talking about them, and Vegas is respecting them.
I think we're only talking about them because we have to, because they're literally playing in the Super Bowl. But we're not talking about them in the same breath. I mean, look at your list alone. We just did the last segment. We said the best players in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
There was one Bengals player, and it wasn't even the quarterback.
Yeah.
The best players in the Super Bowl. There was one Bengals player, and it wasn't even a number 1 overall pick for the Bengals just last year. So, to me, that implies there's an implication of sleeping on. If you're saying who are the 5 best players in a game, and your first is Donald, your second is Ramsey, your third is Kupp, your fourth is Stafford, and then you get to your 5th being Jamar Chase. To me, still, that says slept on. Obviously, slept on, colloquially speaking, you're not getting enough respect.
How can they get that respect? One guy was hurt last year. This is his first full season. He's in the Super Bowl. Let's talk about him. Okay, another guy's a rookie, so last year you're in college. Let's talk about him. Like, where are we going to go? It's not about who has more talent. It's about, as a collective, are we putting respect on you? To me, the ultimate indicator is the fact that they're only an underdog by 4 points, and 3 of them you give to the Rams because it's really a home game. I wonder if this really was a neutral site. Will this just be a 1 point, or will this be a pick 'em? But that's respect for a team that is not as talented, doesn't have a better coach, and they're only really 1 point dog. They're going on the road to play the Rams at the crib. I see a lot of respect here. I just see a lot of youngsters that you know how it goes. You got to get your momentum up in terms of all the recognition you deserve. We've been talking about Aaron Donald so much. We really don't even talk about Aaron Donald unless you start ranking players. There have been more Joe Burrow stories than Aaron Donald stories, in part because we're fatigued of Aaron Donald stories. It's like, win a Super Bowl, maybe we'll talk about you, but then again, you're a defensive lineman. Point being, I think they're getting the proper respect. Vegas is certainly certainly shown them.
So then you think, based on all this, it's going to be a close game, and you think the Bengals?
No, they're going to get smashed. But every time I say that, I'm wrong. But I think they're going to get smashed. Like, I'm still a believer in you can out-talent a team. I heard Greg Cosell talk about this morning. Greg Cosell was talking about if the Rams jump up on the Bengals, two things will happen. One, they got to get pass happy, which they don't want to do. They want their balance with Joe Mixon in the running game and the screen game. But two, that offensive line does not want to pass protect against these Rams. So this is not the Chiefs game where they were down 18 against the Chiefs. Little different animal when you're going against the Rams. If the Rams could go out there, start fast, I don't think that the Bengals could come back.
I see, to me, that would be an ignorant take. And to me, that's an ignorant take.
You talking about me or Greg Cosell?
Cosell. To me, it's an ignorant take because we saw 21-7, and obviously it was the Chiefs, but we saw the Chiefs come back from down 21-7 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah,
the Bengals come back from down 21-7 at the end of the first quarter against the Chiefs.
They're down 18.
We saw the Bengals do that twice, 21-7 the first time they played, the second time down 18.
Respect.
It's like, to me, the Bengals being down means absolutely nothing. Now, Aaron Donald, Von Millard, Leonard Floyd, a little bit different than Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, but Chris Jones an all-pro caliber interior lineman as well. Not Aaron Donald, but Chris
and not
Jones.
Aaron Donald and others. And let's be real, with the passing game, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp have the most production ever at a quarterback-receiver duo. Ever. Like Jerry Rice, Montana. No, they beat that. Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford. No, we beat that. Like, the most production ever you've seen in a combo are these Los Angeles Rams. So if they get up and they have that defensive line and they have that level of production and OBJ saying, yoo-hoo, I'm over here too, I think it may be curtains. Speaking of the Super Bowl, Terry Bradshaw still has plenty of money to give away. So Fox Bet Super 6 is running Stack the Cash one more time. Stop looking at me, Ancho. Scan the QR code and enter your picks in the Super Bowl contest for your chance at the growing jackpot. One of the questions is, which team will win and by how many points? So, Acho, who are you taking?
It's going to be a close one, but I got Bengals 29-27.
You really flipped. All year long said Rams, and now you're going to flip. Well, I'm going to stay where you were. I'm going with the Rams. They win 34-26. Last two Stack the Cash jackpots surpassed $325,000. And Fox Bet Super 6 wants you to make this one even bigger. Scan the QR code and enter your picks for your chance to win. And invite your friends too, because the more people who enter, the bigger the jackpot gets. Coming up, Sean McVay is trying to hold the Lombardi Trophy for the first time. We'll tell you how much pressure is on the Rams head coach. Next on Speak. Thank you. Sean McVay is making his second trip to the Super Bowl as the Rams head coach. First trip did not go so well, but McVay talked about that experience earlier this week, saying, quote, what you do to get over it is you look at yourself in the mirror, you take accountability, and you keep it moving. So, Acho, how much pressure is on Sean McVay?
All the pressure. I think McVay in this game can prove that he is the best coach in the NFL, period. And we can stop the debates, right? Bill Belichick clearly once was the best coach in the NFL. And for the last 3 years, we've kind of taken the mantle from Bill Belichick and handed it to Andy Reid. Andy Reid won a Super Bowl, then Andy Reid went to a Super Bowl. But now we're looking at Andy Reid like, are you the best coach, or did you just have Patrick Mahomes? You got the best players. Who knows what's really going on there? I think Sean McVay, with this Super Bowl now, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 4 years. If he wins the Super Bowl, now you got 2 Super Bowl appearances plus a win. It's the same thing as what Andy Reid and the Chiefs have done, but Sean McVay would have done it with a less talented roster. Sean McVay has to figure out and has to let the world figure out for themselves just how great a coach he is. And I think he can prove he's the best coach in the NFL if he does win. But if he loses, it's a absolute juxtaposition, because you go to the Super Bowl and you lay an egg the first time around. You're held to 3 points. Super Bowl record low. If you go to the Super Bowl and lay an egg again, now you're just a career underachiever. What we have done in sports is we actually ridicule the person who comes in second more so than the person who was never in the championship game at all.
Didn't even show up.
Think about this, y'all. The biggest knock on LeBron James is that he's lost NBA championships. We don't admire the fact that he went to 10. We criticize him for losing 6 out of 10, as opposed to esteeming him for being there. If Sean McVay loses, we will criticize him for losing in the game. We're not going to esteem him for going. You know this about the great Jim Kelly and the Bills.
Yeah.
We just clown the Bills for going to 4 straight. realistically speaking, we should be like, yo, the Bills were the second best team in football 4 consecutive years. But instead, we just get our jokes off in regards to the Buffalo Bills. So Sean McVay is standing in the middle of the ledger right now, and it will go one way or the other. He will either prove he is the greatest coach in the NFL right now, or he will prove he's one of the most underachieving coaches in the NFL.
Man, you gave me so much. As Slick Rick said about our show, we always give each other ammunition. Sean McVay is wearing a silver medal in terms of pressure on him. Gold medalist will be Matthew Stafford. The most pressure is on Matthew Stafford to go out there and get this victory. But they're playing, you ever see Squid Game? They're playing a little version of Squid Game where Sean McVay walking with Matthew Stafford, then he stops right here and taps Matthew Stafford like, dog, this is on you. Because if you look at Sean McVay, what you got to respect about what he's done is how he's really restored the Rams to a level of prominence, a level of greatness. And I don't think that will be lost even in defeat. The Rams are going to be contenders. The Rams are in a different position. They're working on a different model. They're working with a different model in terms of using their draft capital for actual players and not even going through the middle step of let's see if these draft picks actually flourish. No, let's just go get a proven player. Let's go get another all-star. Let's just go get another dynamic playmaker that makes this an all-star team. Sean McVay is going to get some of that credit even in defeat. He's next to Matthew Stafford, and we already know why Matthew Stafford's number one. But Sean McVay is still failing in terms of what his achievement is in the Super Bowl. The D student in the class, but he's sitting next to an F student. He can't feel too good about himself, but at the same time, he can't feel the worst in that same class. So I look at this situation where Sean McVay knows he wants to win to validate his greatness. But let's not go so far as you went in saying that Andy Reid had a moment holding the baton or the torch as the greatest coach. Bill Belichick's still not the greatest coach, or Mike Tomlin's not the greatest coach. You're saying that Sean McVay wins and it goes 1-1 in the Super Bowl. All of a sudden he would trump not only Mike Tomlin, but Bill Belichick? Let's have that discussion if we must.
Yeah, greatest coach right now. For example, LeBron James is still the greatest basketball player in NBA history. Many would argue that he's the second best, sure. But we know that LeBron James is not the best right now. You would submit Kevin Durant. Many might submit Giannis, Joel Embiid, the Joker, etc. So what I'm saying is, while Bill Belichick is the greatest coach all time, Sean McVay, if he wins, will be the greatest presently. Because if you look at last 4-year resume, Belichick out. Belichick ain't got a playoff win in the last 2 years. So if you just want to go last 4-year resume, clearly you're looking at Andy Reid. Then you're looking at the likes of Sean McVay. Those are truly the only two you can look at. You can throw Kyle Shanahan in if you want to, just based on what he's done with the talent he's had. But Sean McVay, 2 Super Bowl appearances plus a Super Bowl win. He's right there with Andy Reid, 2 Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl win. But I think here's why.
You throwing Bruce Arians in there too? He won a Super Bowl.
Nah, but no other appearance.
So you got to have.
If he'd went twice, I'd throw Bruce Arians in there. But if you look at Bruce Arians' last 4 years, remember, Jameis he had for 2 of those years.
Yeah.
So, no playoffs, Super Bowl, and then playoff 1-1.
Can you give him a flavor of the month, or flavor of the year award without saying greatest?
Here's why, Sel.
That's too much.
He'd be the flavor of a half decade. 4 years, you pushing 5. So
and you got one?
But if you got 2 appearances, you know how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl, bro.
You
went to a playoffs. You went 3 times.
0.
You didn't go to playoffs at all?
No, I went 3 times.
I went once. It's hard to win a playoff game.
Say that again.
If you get to 2 Super Bowls, including getting to one with Goff. But here's another thing I'm interested in your take it.
All right.
The reason there's so much pressure on McVay is because Sean McVay has sacrificed the Rams' future for the Rams' present.
Yes.
The Rams have not had a first-round pick since Sean McVay showed up in Los Angeles. The Rams will not likely have a first-round pick till Sean McVay leaves Los Angeles. Technically, they don't even have one right now till 2024. So Sean McVay is mortgaging the Rams' future for the Rams' present, which means you better deliver a Super Bowl in the present. Think about the LeBron James effect. When LeBron James is there, the team wins. But when LeBron James departs, the team tanks. Cavaliers first time after LeBron James leaves. That 4-year stretch. Worst record in NBA history. Cavaliers the second time after LeBron James leaves. That 3-year stretch. worst record in NBA history. So LeBron James, it's not just his talent that leaves, but the team is left in financial disarray. Sean McVay, when he departs from these Rams, if ever, they will be left in draft pick disarray because Sean McVay has mortgaged the future for the present. So in the present, you better deliver a Super Bowl.
Golly, I understand what you're saying. I just can't put that ribbon on this package. Look, he's the 5th coach in NFL history to lead his team to 2 Super Bowl appearances in his first 5 seasons as a coach. I respect that. You got to respect that. Look at the list. Tom Flores, Joe Gibbs, Jimmy Johnson, all Hall of Famers. Mike Tomlin, going to be a Hall of Famer. And Sean McVay. But if he loses, as you said, he'd be the only coach among the 5 who didn't win a Super Bowl in that scenario. So going multiple times and didn't come away with one. But when Mike Tomlin did it, did we immediately say he was the greatest coach? If things change that much, is that social media? Is that the internet? Why is so much like fast forwarding instead of like, okay, you're.
I'm not saying he's the greatest. I'm saying he would be the best in the moment.
Best in the moment,
right?
Okay.
Like I think it's a very easy argument to say Giannis is the best player in the NBA right now because he's won 2 MVPs over the last few years. So while I don't think Giannis is the greatest player ever, I think based upon what you've done presently, especially with that body of work, I think you can say that. Think about what we said about Mike Tomlin. We were very much so saying Mike Tomlin was the best coach in the NFL when all of a sudden we looked up and said, oh, the Steelers, y'all nice like that. Ben Roethlisberger, you already won one, 2nd year in the league. So I do think we can say, based on a half-decade stretch, a 4-year stretch, yo, you doing something. You know how we assess things even financially. We look at quarters. We look at, if you want to assess your finances, you break things down into what? Every 3 months of a year, every 4 months of a year. After you get a large enough sample size, you can start to assess. Sean McVay, if we look at a quarter, if we look at that 4-year stretch, that's a large sample size.
And I respect it. But it's crazy, man. I would hate for my portfolio to look like this. You win, Sean McVay joins Mike Tomlin and Jimmy Johnson. All right, we got some money. You don't win, it starts to look a little different. You start to go down, no less in terms of respect, but certainly regarded differently by many. Dan Reeves, people don't give him the same level of props as the Mike Tomlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Marv Levy, my coach, who I truly respect, but I don't know. John Fox as well, guys who lost multiple Super Bowls. Lots on the line if you're my man Sean McVay. Respect to you, big dog. Go get it because I think you're a genius and you light up the room. Coming up, we'll be joined by one of the best to ever do it, my former teammate, Drew Brees. Drew down in the building. He joins us next on Speak for Yourself. We got to get through our The spotlight will be on Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl on Sunday. Both quarterbacks are making their debut in the big game, and they are the 2nd pair of quarterbacks who were number 1 overall picks to meet in the Super Bowl. Tacho, who do you trust more on Sunday, Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow?
Man, I trust Joe Burrow. And it's not that I do not trust Matthew Stafford, but I'm very confident in the individual Joe Burrow, who has only been outplayed by an opposing quarterback twice over the last 14 weeks. Again, only Mike White of the Jets, somehow, some way, and your boy Justin Herbert, obviously a baller, have outplayed Joe Burrow. It's not that Joe Burrow had a better season than Matthew Stafford, but when Joe Burrow goes head-to-head with these quarterbacks, and I do believe that quarterbacks to some degree compete against each other. They play against opposing defenses, but in my mind, they compete against each other. Joe Burrow finds a way to get the job done. I'm also very mindful of this. I've stated it before. I'll state it again. Matthew Stafford has not played 4 consecutive good games all season long. And there's been a 17-game season, so you got a 17-game regular season sample size, plus these playoffs, you're really looking at a 20-game sample size, week 6 to week 8. Matthew Stafford, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. But week 9, he played against the Tennessee Titans. Atrocious day. Interception for a touchdown. It looked like it was his first day playing the game of football. 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Then again, week 12 to week 14, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. But week 15 came around. Seattle Seahawks, Matthew Stafford struggled, albeit the Los Angeles Rams won the game. Well, now we're in the playoffs. Matthew Stafford, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Played well against the Niners. Played well against the Bucks. Played well against the Cardinals. But all season long, we've yet to see Stafford put together 4 consecutive great games. It might be coincidence. There might be a correlation. I do not know. But I do know we haven't seen it. For that reason, I trust Joe Burrow.
And I trust Matthew Stafford more. And I'm going to use them against themselves to prove my point. Is Matthew Stafford playing better in the postseason or worse than he did in the regular season? Better. Is Joe Burrow playing better in the postseason or worse than he did in the regular season? Worse. Okay. Well, and you say that Matthew Stafford hasn't given you a 4-game sample size. Stop counting that wild card game against the Arizona Cardinals. He only threw the ball 17 times. So let's just throw that one away. And now you all of a sudden have 2 games, and the third one will be the Super Bowl. Case closed. You like that? They ain't even playing that game. That was so easy, so simple for them. Defense out there scoring points as well. That game was over before it started, it felt like. That said, I got to agree with you. I'm not going to slight Joe Burrow. Propping up Matthew Stafford is not to push down Joe Burrow. It's just to say that his resume, more extensive, obviously a veteran of this league, finally getting his opportunity to be on a Super Bowl contending team, so therefore he's in the Super Bowl. And he's just been playing better, especially of late, versus a Joe Burrow, who Joe Burrow in the postseason, no slight to his numbers, but 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 96 passer rating. That's not the same guy that we saw in the regular season who had obviously greater numbers. Also, you see Jamar Chase and his numbers go down every single round of the postseason. His go-to guy went from 116 to 109 to 54. 4. Not Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is going up. Odell Beckham going up. So I look at the situation where Matthew Stafford has greater assets surrounding him, a better coach in terms of playmaking calls, and he's playing better in the postseason than he did earlier in the season. Coming up, we'll be joined by one of the best to ever do it. Drew Brees joins us next on Speak for Yourself. We're just 2 days
no mercy.
about your work with Lowe's.
You know, it's been great work. I've been GM of the Lowe's home team the last couple of years here. Had a chance to participate in quite a few great projects around the country, especially in New Orleans. But 100 hometown projects. The name of the campaign is Home Team for Hometowns. And actually, we are partnering with an organization either in LA or Cincinnati, depending on who wins this Super Bowl, for the 101st project this year. So we're asking everyone to go online to Lowe's Twitter account and vote for one of these 4 organizations to be the beneficiary of that. Boys and Girls Club, Salvation Army, We Better Together, or USO. We're really excited about that campaign and really had a lot of fun doing that the last couple of years.
Now, that was a pro doing the Pro Bowl. We had some guys on here before just saying, yeah, it's cool working with them. Oh, I love it, Drew. Oh, man. Let's get to it, man. I know you're not just building homes post-retirement. Obviously, you're broadcasting now. We see you every single week doing it great. Talk about that transition. Talk about now having the mic in your hand instead of the football.
Listen, it's different, you know. I would say there are some carries over in regards to how you prepare. So I broadcasted Notre Dame home football games for NBC with Mike Tirico this fall, and that was a lot of fun. You know, I felt like I was on a journey with the team. You know, had a vested interest in how they did each and every week. Feel like I had, you know, real good working knowledge of the team and just their journey. I had a chance to really get to know a lot of the players as well. So you really begin to root for guys because you begin to know them on a personal level. But I'd say broadcasting is a lot like playing the game, you know, in the way that you prepare. You know, I'm watching film. If I was playing, I'm watching film thinking about, you know, how am I going to attack, you know, this defense, or if I was this offense, this is what I would be doing. And so inevitably when you get in the game, it's obviously in real time and you're reacting to what you see. But at the same time, you're trying to, you know, prepare the fan and let them know exactly what you're seeing and give them insight into, you know, the mind of a quarterback and what you're thinking. You know, the studio work, having a chance to travel to Connecticut and NBC Sports Studios every weekend, work with Tony Dungy, work with Mike, work with Maria Taylor, Chris Sims, and that team. It was really a cool experience. Had a chance to go into a few stadiums during the playoffs with Jack Collinsworth and Rodney Harrison as well. So felt like I did a little bit of everything, you know. So you talk about, like, you know, developing some new skill sets and definitely challenging yourself. But it was a lot of fun.
Drew, I got to ask you a hard-hitting question, man. You've been in L.A. for several days now, but we're both Austin guys. Austin, Texas, or L.A., big dog? Which one?
Not
what
close.
city?
Not
what
close.
city?
Not close.
Dude, it's not even close. Austin, Texas.
Oh,
man.
come on. What the?
Austin, Texas.
Wow, where?
Austin different, bro. Austin special.
What?
Okay. Hey, well, don't throw San Diego, California in there because then you might get a different answer. No, that's Austin has grown like crazy though. Acho, when's the last time you've been back?
I ain't been back in a year, but when I was there for college, the population 800,000. Now it's over 2 million, Drew.
Hey.
Listen, I lived there from 1987 to 97. And we were kind of a small, sleepy town in central Texas, kind of marching to the beat of our own drum, And then all of a sudden, it's insane. Well, you got everybody from LA is moving out there.
Yeah, facts.
Wild style. Are you next?
I know a few of them went. If anything, like you said, San Diego will grab my heart a little more.
Hey, Drew, real quick. I like that wild style nickname though, Drew. I need your best Marcellus Wiley story.
Oh, damn. You gonna do that?
Look, I think he had one of the best sack celebrations that hasn't gotten enough credit. In fact, I think we need to pull up some highlights. I think we need to show the fans what they missed out on back in the early 2000s with Wild Style. We had some good sack celebrations.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Tell me this. One, are you staying in New Orleans? Where's home for you? Because we've just named 5 different cities. Where are you home?
You know what? I've got a connection to a lot of places.
Yeah.
But no, we still have a place in New Orleans, and I'm going back quite a bit. Still have a lot of great friendships there. Still very tight with the organization, obviously. Have a lot of charitable endeavors happening there as well. We're in San Diego currently, but I find that with this job and with a lot of the things that I'm involved in and just a lot of my passions, it's requiring a lot of travel right now.
There it is. There it is. Okay, before we get to the Super Bowl, we got to talk about our Chargers, and they got a quarterback there by the name of Justin Herbert. And I just want you to tell us what you see in him and what is his potential.
I think he's a stud. I think he is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league here over the next 10 to 15 years. In fact, when you look at the entire AFC, you got Mahomes, you've got Herbert, you've got Josh Allen, you've got Joe Burrow. I mean, these are going to be some fun playoff battles here for the next 10 years in the AFC with all these guys. But I think what tells me a lot about Herbert too is he had a lot of success as a rookie, and I think a lot of times you see at times the sophomore slump, but we didn't see any of that. And I think that says a lot about just where he is mentally. I think that he had great influence. Joe Lombardi was his offensive coordinator this year with the Chargers, came from the Saints, brought in an offense that I really think fits his skill set. I really like Brandon Staley as a head coach. I think he's building a culture there that those guys believe they can win. And certainly you need a guy like that in order to do it.
Drew, let me ask you this, man. Joe Burrow, measurables, not that crazy, right? But he just has it. Whatever it is, he has it. It makes everybody around him better. How would you, a future Hall of Famer, one of the best that's ever done it, how would you define that it that Joe Burrow has?
Yeah, so a lot of intangibles. There's a presence about him. I think when he steps in a room, I think you can just watch the way everyone reacts to him. I think it brings out the best in them, makes them want to be the best version of themselves for him. I think they have a lot of belief in him. They understand that within the framework of the locker room or the offense, like this guy gives them the best chance to win at any moment, and they're never out of it, right? And a lot of it's his poise and this calm, cool demeanor and this composure and this confidence. But it's funny. I had a chance to talk to him last week. That's going to be part of the broadcast on Sunday. But I asked him what kind of gave him that confidence and that belief. And he said, being in a lot of competitive situations as a kid, playing a bunch of different sports and just having that exposure. Obviously, he loves sports, but I think he's used to being in those situations, and he's used to finding ways to win. And they've built a really unique culture there in Cincinnati. It's a lot of young players, and it's a lot of guys that came from winning organizations. Whether you look at college, half their team has come from Ohio State, Clemson, or LSU. And then the free agents, they were pulling from, winning organizations, great cultures, the Steelers, the Saints, and others. So everyone in their roster is used to winning, right? So the Bengal perception that maybe a lot of fans have, like, oh, this is amazing. Well, look at where these guys came from. Look at, their lineage. Look at the cultures they came from. They're basically just building what they're used to.
Man, quick one right here, because these are two guys, first time in the Super Bowl. You've been there before. You felt the confetti. You won a Super Bowl. Most difficult part about playing and winning the Super Bowl?
It's funny because you go into the game and you recognize that it's the biggest game of your life, and yet you're trying to sit there and tell yourself that it's just like any other game, right? So it almost takes 2 weeks of like tricking your psychology in order just to be able to go out there and relax and play the game. And I remember being really nervous for the first drive of that game, and then after that first drive, I think just something just clicked, and I realized, this is just like any other game, and just be yourself. And after that, people talk about being in that state of mind that's like flow. Like, I just remember being in a state of mind where everything was just rhythm and flow. And even just looking back on it now, like that felt so good to be in that place. And then all of a sudden, here we were holding up the trophy. But it was an incredible moment.
Man, we truly appreciated Drew Brees coming on the show.
Legend.
And enjoyed the rhythm and flow of this Super Bowl on Sunday, big dog. Great seeing you,
Hi, Drew.
All right, coming up. Can't say
fellas,
what FEA stands for, but we'll tell you if Bengals D lineman Zach Kerr is keeping it 100 with his explanation of 99. That's next on Speak for Yourself. The Bengals are considered to be the underdogs in the Super Bowl, and their defensive lineman Zach Kerr wore a not-so-subtle explanation of their mindset wearing a FEA shirt, which stands for Forget 'Em All. Acho, love or hate the Bengals mantra?
I love it, man. Sometimes that underdog mindset is the only mindset by which you can live, so I am all for it.
I didn't join a gang growing up, but I was a part of a crew called FAY, and you can just figure out what that stands for. That was in high school. I think it's childish. It's not gonna work. Good luck. Just play well. Have a great Super Bowl weekend, y'all. Fox Bet Live next.